Hello everyone, I'm Vijay and welcome to the first video in my deck shade build series. Today I am going to show you the critical first step, reinforcing the deck foundation to support the heavy shade structure we will be building. Before we can build anything above the deck, we need to make sure the foundation can handle the additional weight. This step is absolutely essential because this shade structure is going to cover the entire deck and it's going to be heavy. We need a rock solid foundation to support it safely. Here is what I did. I added 6 additional deck footings to supplement the existing ones, plus installed support beams to distribute the load properly. For each footing, I dug a hole approximately 1.5 feet deep, filled it with gravel, and placed a 60-pound paver base on the top of it. Then I set a concrete block on the paver base and built the deck footing right on the top of that concrete block. Why all this extra work? I wanted to make absolutely sure the deck wouldn't sag anywhere under the weight of the shade structure. My plan is to support every column of the shade with a dedicated footing underneath the deck. To create 2 additional support points in the middle of the deck, I used a 6x4 beam. Here is how I secured it. I used jack stands to hold the beam against the deck joist, then screwed the beam directly to the bottom of the deck. Once the beam was securely attached, I built footings on the top of the concrete block to support it. The key here is precision. I carefully measured and cut wood pieces to fit exactly between the beam and the concrete blocks, then hammered them into place. This distance has to be perfect. You absolutely cannot mess up the deck's level. I noticed that the beam wasn't touching every joist under the deck, but since both the deck and beam were level and straight, I simply added shims between the joist and the beam where needed. Let me emphasize this again. Maintaining the deck's level is absolutely critical. That's why I took time to cut each piece to the exact right size. One important tip, I let the gravel settle in each hole for a full 2 to 3 days before adding the paver base and concrete. This prevents the footing length from changing over time as everything settles. The final step was adding side supports to prevent the footings from slipping out. I built this exactly the same way as the existing footings on the deck for consistency. In total, I added 6 new footings. Now you might be thinking that's an overkill, but I didn't want to take any chances. I'm also planning to add some heavy deck furniture in the future, so this extra reinforcement will definitely come in handy. Here is how I built the footing base. I have a heavy paver base and a concrete block. I dug a hole which is 1.5 feet deep and filled it up with gravel base. It is very important to level the gravel and compact it before you place the paver on the top of it. Check the level diagonally to make sure the paver base is perfectly leveled on all sides. Then place heavy concrete block on the top of this paver and let it sit for a couple of days so that everything settles. Then you start building the footing on the top of this to support the deck. This multi-layer approach, gravel base compacted and leveled, paver base, concrete block, then the wooden footing creates an incredibly stable foundation. In the next video, I will show you how I build the actual shade structure on the top of this reinforced foundation. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and hit the like button. And make sure to watch the next video in the series to see how this reinforced deck supports the complete shade build. Thank you for watching.